From the Mapleview Animal Hospital studios, this is the WHTC Morning News with Gary Stevens and Peg McNichol on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you to the WHTC Morning News for this Friday, April the 23rd. Friday mornings at this time, we travel Michigan with Dave Lorenz of Pure Michigan. He joins us via the Zoom connection on the road today. And David, you are in my old stomping grounds 20 years or so ago. I did call the Saginaw area home. You are there now. Good morning.
I am. Good morning, Gary. And let me tell you, Saginaw has come a long way since the time when you were in this area. In fact, Saginaw has come a long way in the last 2 years. I actually drove through the area just before this coronavirus thing hit. And it was just one of those, hey, I'll just drive through on my way from point A to point B. And as I looked around, I thought, man, this place is looking really good. And so I had called the local Convention Visitors Bureau and said, hey, Annie, I'd like to get a tour because it's been too long since I've been here. And of course, it's taken this long because of COVID. And so I was given a tour around the area yesterday, and I'm so impressed. And I'm just so energized to see communities like Saginaw in Flint and Muskegon, these communities that over the years had been so downtrodden because of this change of the economy and because they were just so invested in, a single part of the economy, manufacturing. It took them so long to come back. And now here in Saginaw, just as I see in Flint and in Muskegon and in Detroit in a bigger way, there's this sense of, just not taking anymore and wanting to make change for the better and working together in collaboration. All these things, frankly, that much of West Michigan has been known for many years. But in other communities, this just wasn't something that was done. And I grew up in Muskegon, and Muskegon had this issue. It seemed like whenever there was, 2 steps forward, there was 1 step back. I'll call it community negativity. Things have changed. And I don't think coronavirus really did this. I just think time and a desire to be part of a solution has caused these really positive changes. So I was so impressed. I've been so impressed with this visit. I can't wait to come back.
It is, it's been a while since I've been back there since my son moved out of Saginaw and now lives in the Lansing area. But Holly and I will be making stops to Frankenmuth, maybe spend time and get some cheese.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. Everybody comes to Frankenmuth. In fact, I'm going there today. I'll be over at Zender's Splash Village. I'll be at Grandpa Tiny's Farm and Bavarian Inn. We're doing some safe to travel videos, which we're posting on Michigan.org and on the Under the Radar website, because Tom Dalden from Under the Radar is with me, or I'm with him, however you want to look at it. And I'll tell you, he and I both, we were just marveling at like the Temple Theater, beautiful theater. We went to the Castle Museum. Now, I had heard about this place. It was formerly a post office built at the turn of the century. I think it opened in 1902 or something like that. And that was back in the day when post offices were built kind of to reflect the community. And because of the French background here, they built this kind of like castle, like a French Renaissance type castle. And it's an awesomely beautiful museum now with great exhibits, but the building itself is an exhibit. Went to a couple of great restaurants, met some wonderful people, including, I have to tell you about Omar Linden. He's a young man, 38 years old. He grew up always wanting to cook, and he worked for Dow Chemical as he grew up, went to school, ended up at Dow Chemical. And Dow Chemical went through some cutbacks, or they sold part of their company, I guess it was. And he was laid off, and he was given out kind of a payoff to leave. And so he said, well, this is my opportunity. He put a food truck together. Now he has a brick and mortar store called the Big O Burger and Barbecue. So I walked in, it was playing gospel music and blues. The food smelled fantastic, but I tell you, in fact, I had to write this down because I was so inspired by this young man. I'm always inspired by young entrepreneurs, but he said to me when I said, "Well, what gave you the strength and the guts to do this? It's quite a commitment," because he did this all on himself, on his own. And he said to me, without even thinking, he said, "Well, sometimes the universe speaks when you're not even listening." That really hit me. That's the spirit that I'm finding here in Saginaw, the home of the Saginaw Spirit hockey team. I can't tell you, I can't wait to get back.
We'll see as we go along. One other thing, too, it's interesting that you are in the Tri-Cities, well, the other Tri-Cities, we know.
Yeah.
These parts, when you say Tri-Cities, it's Spring Lake, Ferrisburg, and Grand Haven, but the other Tri-Cities, the more known one in the state. Les McCown, the front man for the Bay City Rollers, passed away. Scottish band, they got their name because they threw a dart. Yeah. And the dart landed on Bay City, Michigan.
That's right.
And eventually they made it to make an appearance there. And there was a mural there that's no longer there now to honor the Bay City Rollers in Bay City, Michigan. It's the second most notable thing out of Bay City in the entertainment world. The first, Donna Ciccone. We know
Donna
her.
Ciccone. Well, in fact, you know what? I was thinking, no, that's another, they actually came out of Cadillac Kiss. Had a connection with Cadillac. They didn't come from there, but they ended up doing a concert there, a high school band concert, because they were invited back when they were really in their heyday. You never know. That's the thing, is you travel around, you get to hear these interesting stories. I always recommend, we always say your trip begins at michigan.org. And by that is, I mean, learn a little bit about a place you're going to go to. And then when you go there, learn more. I just think it helps enrich that experience. And the stories of the past help you to better understand the current situation and where a place is going. And if you're looking after this very difficult time for a little inspiration, a little sense of hope, a place like Saginaw, this is the kind of place you should come to, especially at a time when we see such lack of appreciation for diversity, such expressions of really a lack of respect for different races. This is a very diverse community. And I think that communities that are mostly white or mostly black should go to places where they're mostly something other than what they are, because it helps us appreciate much better other people and who we are as well. So really, come here. You're going to love these people. They're just, this community has just got this spirit you're going to feel. And you're going to really feel a kinship, because it's the same type of spirit I feel from the people of Holland.
You mentioned about Gene Simmons and Kiss performing at a high school in Cadillac. I know some people remember the days in the late 60s when Bob Seger used to perform in high schools. And I wouldn't be surprised if before the Shondells became big, Tommy James did so in Niles, and we kind of wonder what the background is of the late Del Shannon in Coopersville. We just don't know.
I tell you, that's another thing about Michigan. We have all these great connections to music, these creative people, these innovators. And again, they in their own way took tremendous risks to become successful with no guarantee that they were going to get it done. They took risks. And that's what I mean about being energized by entrepreneurs, the spirit of just throwing it all in and putting everything into a task. I just think it's great.
Speaking about entrepreneurs and taking risks, a space capsule got launched today from Cape Canaveral,
whichever it is.
And it made me think about the Air Zoo and the thing down in Portage, and probably we'll see some more people making the trek to the Air Zoo over the next few days as the new Falcon capsule goes up and we go back into space.
I tell you, I hope so, because the Air Zoo, a lot of people don't actually know they have a space exhibit. They know about that tremendous exhibit of airplanes, which is really, truly tremendous. But there's another, I guess I'll call it campus, another part of the museum. It used to be a separate building. Now it's all connected. And you find a tremendous exhibit on space, NASA, and all that. Really a beautiful thing. And right now, the Air Zoo is working to refurbish the Black Hawk, the plane that was the highest flying plane, I think the fastest plane ever too. And they had to make some adjustments when they opened it up. I heard they found some bombs in it. Now I think they were inert, but it's like, oh well, guess what? So that's kind of interesting.
An explosive development, yes.
An explosive development. That's right. Yeah. So you never know what you're going to find, but that's a special place. I think both the Air Zoo in Kalamazoo and then just north of that, Gilmore Car Museum in Hickory Corners. That's a great combination of museums. So at this time of the year, when we're doing this transition where we don't know if it's winter or summer yet, spring in Michigan, you might be looking for a little museum outing. Both of those places, great places to go to.
One thing we can tell people about for this transition period, where to go, is next weekend. We are 8 days away from the start of the Tulip Time Festival. And Dave Lorenz, we're going to talk about that and more when next we chat next Friday morning on Travel Michigan segment. Dave Lorenz from Pure Michigan. Your trip begins, of course, obviously, at Pure Michigan and like Pure Michigan on Facebook. Have a safe trip home from the Tri-Cities and look forward to chatting with you next week.
Thank you, Gary. See you.
Thank you very much, Dave Lorenz on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.